All right, welcome everyone to the Elite Zoom training. Today I had a special request from an agent who is wanting to transfer her current, or not current, but previous 401k that she has just sitting right now. And she wanted to move into something. And typically when we do that, we recommend like a fixed index annuity from like FNG or Athene. Now, this particular agent is very, very conservative where they don't want to even have a chance to get zero return. They want to have a guaranteed multi-year interest rate that is locked in for the next 3 to 5 years. All right. So what we do is we go ahead and do an illustration to demonstrate how her policy will look like in terms of the annuity growth. And I'm going to show you a product that I haven't really went over in the past. Okay. So let me go ahead and share the screen. So FNG website, if you are a licensed and contracted agent with Symmetry and you have core carriers, you should have FNG. So you log in to financial and insurance professional. And then once you log in, this is the homepage. Now, when you get here, you go to sales tools, go to illustrations, and we're going to do an annuity illustration. All right. And on the right side, instead of doing create client, you can just do a create illustration, create a new client. And let's just put here that her name is Jane Doe. All right. And then the current age, we're going to do 55 years old. Right. And then there is female as a gender. And then next. And then here, state that the client is in. So I'm just going to use Nevada, but whatever state the client is in, that's what you're going to put. And the case name, you can just leave it as the client's first and last name. In the plan type, we went over a lot of different illustrations for the fixed index annuity in the past, because to me, the reason why that is one of the best is because it has a 0% floor. So when the market crashes, you don't have to worry about losing any of your money that you have accumulated up to that point, but also gives you an opportunity to gain as the market does well in the stock market. So S&P, Balanced Asset, BlackRock, different indexes are available, and you can gain 10, 20% in a year. But some clients might be asking for just a fixed guaranteed rate, and it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. It just get a fixed guaranteed rate. So MYGA is standing for multi-year guaranteed annuity, and this is the FNG's guaranteed interest rate product. So there's a FG Guarantee Platinum 3, FG Guarantee Platinum 5, FG Guarantee Platinum 7. Only difference between these three are that there are 3 years locked in, 5 years locked in, and 7 year locked in. Okay. That's the only difference there. The interest rate is a little different per the different 3 year, 5 year, 7 year, because the longer you keep, they tend to give you a higher return, right? So this is the argument, right? Sometimes clients will say, oh, but if it's like 4%, close to 5%, then some of the banks might give you like CD or a high yield savings account and give you close to that number. And that is very correct. So one of the things that I tell my client is that if they're thinking about having to use the money right away in the near future and they need liquidity right away, then this type of annuity is not the best fit because then now you'll be locking your money in for a period of time and there is a surrender value also involved. Okay. So in that case, I might recommend like a SoFi high yield savings account. I think it's in the 4.2-ish interest rate a year without having your money locked in at all. American Express, I think it went just down a little bit, 3.8 or something like that. pretty great, right? Compared to a 0.04% at a regular savings account. So those are more liquid places that you can put your money into. But if a client is like, no, I don't want to touch this money. I want to lock it in for the next 3, 5, 7 years and let it grow. But I just don't want to have any type of risk and I want a guaranteed rate. This is the product. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you a guaranteed Platinum 5 as an example. So this will be a 5-year, multi-year guaranteed annuity. And you click Create Illustration. And you don't have to do too much here, okay? But if it was an annuity type, this is what's important. Annuity type, when you click on it, there's non-qualified and qualified. Most of the time, we're going to only have to use between these two things. And non-qualified means that if you have money that is already taxed money, so let's just say you have money sitting in a savings account, checking account, CDs, things like that, or cash you have that you can just put it onto a check form and send it in, that would be a non-qualified plan. Qualified plan is a tax deferred plan, maybe from a 401k, IRA, like a traditional IRA, if there was a 403b, 457, things like that. All right. So that will be a qualified. So since this particular agent slash client is having the money come from a 401k, we're going to utilize a qualified plan. All right. So when they're asking about they need a date of birth, so we're gonna go back and 55. So that will be like what 1960 or 1970, right? All right. So we might do like 5/1/1970, right? And then so that'll be 55 years old. Then we go back to the illustration. Here, we're gonna go ahead and click action and preview illustration. This is going to generate a certain number of pages as a PDF file. So when you're reviewing with the client, you can explain it to the client. So FG Guarantee Platinum, let me zoom in a little bit. What is FG Guarantee Platinum? FG Guarantee Platinum is a single premium fixed deferred annuity with a 5-year guarantee period. After the 5-year guarantee period, FNG company will automatically renew the annuity for the same period at the current interest rate. Or if the client decides to take the money out, then they have the option to do so. Okay. At the end of each guarantee period, you will receive 30 days to surrender the contract and receive the account value. Okay. And guaranteed rate of interest. Grow your retirement savings at a fixed rate. Remember, I told you it's a fixed interest rate. And also, it's tax deferred to help your savings work even harder. With the interest growth, tax deferred, you may have more money to compound and grow. So here, if you go down, it tells you the credited interest rate. Initial credited interest rate of 4.8% is guaranteed for 5 years from the date of issue. Okay. At the end of guarantee period, a renewal interest rate will be determined and guaranteed for the following 5-year period. The hypothetical illustrations assumes the credited interest rate will be reduced to 2.75 after the initial guarantee period. And the reason why they do that is because the rate that you get locked in, that's guaranteed for 5 years. But 5 years from now, the interest rate might be only 2.75, it might be 5.2. The interest rate fluctuates, but once you lock it in, that's locked in for 5 years or 3 years, 7 years, depending on which guarantee period that you choose for this annuity. Okay. And then the minimum guaranteed interest rate will never be less than 2.75. So that's the minimum guaranteed interest rate that they will offer ever on this product. That's what it's saying. It's not saying they're going to give you that. That's the absolute minimum that they'll ever actually offer to the clients. But currently it's 4.8. Okay. And putting in $100,000 initially, you see that on the first year anniversary. So client is 55 and then turned 56. The money was in here for a year. So $104,800, right? because 4.8% interest on 100,000 is 4,800. And then next year, it grows again. Next year, it grows again. But if you notice something, it's not quite the exact 4,800 doubling, right? Because this is not a simple interest. This is a compound interest. So as the money is sitting in there, it's compounding on the growth of the last year's performance. So the interest is gaining interest. That's the secret of compound interest. So if the client leaves this for 5 years at the age of 60, client will have $126,417 that the client could pull out. Then at this point, this is at the ending of five. So here, beginning of six. So once the 5 years completed, there should be no surrender fee, no surrender charge, as you can see. So that is after fully the 5 years is over, the client will be able to walk away with zero surrender charge. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have any taxes. So let's talk about that real quick. At this point, client originally put $100,000 in a lump sum. Okay. So if this was coming from a 401k, that was a tax deferred money. So Uncle Sam has not collected his taxes on that money yet. When you roll it over, the status remains a tax deferred status. But when you withdraw the money, then now you'll have to pay income tax based on the taxes that you haven't paid since you have contributed and the employer have matched for you. Okay, so then there will be taxes involved when you are pulling out the money at that point. That is the qualified annuity type. Let's just talk about the non-qualified. Let's just say this 100,000 was coming from a savings account. Okay, it's already taxed money. Then at this point, if this was the same growth, after the 5 years, there's like $129,894. At this point, the 100,000 initially that the client put in is not taxable because client already had that money as a taxed money. So the $29,894 remains taxable, but only as an income. Okay, so if you were to pull it out, then that will be considered an income on that year. So to me, if the client is not really trying to touch the money a lot all the time, I don't recommend to put it into something like this. I'd rather have client to put it into something like a FIF, like a fixed index annuity where client can take a portion out of it and then leave the rest of the money in there to keep compounding over time and then let the client to use that money in the future as the money grows. Because if the client takes out a large lump sum of money out from the annuity, then it's going to stop the compound interest, right? So it stops the compounding, and that means less money. It's kind of like killing a golden goose, right? If you kill the golden goose, there's no more golden eggs, right? It's the same thing. If you wanted to keep the golden goose egg coming, then you don't want to take the whole thing out. You want to just leave it in there and let it keep laying eggs for years to come. All right. So this particular agent wanted to do a 5 year guaranteed, a multi-year guaranteed annuity. So this is the one that I will suggest. But if the agent is okay not having to take all the money out and cash it out in the near future, then I'll show you what is a little better option for the agent slash client. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and change the product. So we're gonna go back to client and let's go to illustrations. Let's go ahead and create another illustration here. Maybe I can do existing client. It's not letting me do that. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna make it the age same 55, female. Next. And the beauty of this is that we have all different types of options available. So let's just say we didn't do the power accumulator 10. We wanted to do power accumulator 7 so that it's a 7-year annuity. And let's create illustration because the client wanted like around a 5 years. So 7 years is just 2 years longer. So this is just a strategy that I might recommend. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do qualified, and then they're asking for the date of birth. We're gonna go ahead and put the 5/1/1970 and go back to this. All right, 100,000. We're gonna remain the same amount as the initial premium. Allocation selection. There's different options available here. Balance asset 10, balance asset 5, BlackRock Market Advantage, iShares Core S&P 500, US Real Estate, Morgan Stanley. So there's a variety of indexes, and this is something the client can change on their anniversary. So it's not like something that client is stuck with, okay? And then when the market is changing, then the client can always revisit and decide to move the allocation to some other index options. So as an example, you can spread it out a little bit, and I'm just gonna just give you an example. So balance asset 5, balance asset 10, and they put it all in the iShare Core S&P 500. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and put like 25% there. Morgan Stanley, there is another 1 year point to point with spread participation. You put 25% there. And balance asset 5, balance asset 10. And there is something called the balance asset 5 2 year point to point. And then there's a balance asset 5 2 year point to point with charge. So this is something that you have to also be aware of. The one that says charge in the back behind the description here, charge, and the one has no charge. It's the same up to here, but it changes to charge instead of no charge. So that means you have to pay a fee on an annual basis to get this particular index. And why would people do that is because you get a higher return. You get a multiplier for paying a little fee. Okay, that can be advantageous if the market is doing well because you could get 10% return, 20% return instead of maybe 5. But if the market doesn't do well and it did negative in the stock market, then you might just be paying a fee of 1 point something percentage, but you're not getting any bigger return. So that's the downfall of that. Okay. So typically with regular clients' risk tolerance, I usually don't choose the one with a charge. I would choose the one without the charge. Okay. So let's just say we put 25 on the 2 year. That means the client gets an interest every 2 years instead of 1 year. And I'm just mixing it up so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Morgan Stanley 2 year without the charge one. This has been doing well too, so I'm going to put it in there. So two indexes, 25% is in 1 year Morgan Stanley and 1 year in S&P. The other one is in the 2 year balance asset 5 with no charge, and also Morgan Stanley 2 year with no charge. Okay, and then once we do that, we're going to go to action and click preview illustration. So some clients might say specifically they want a multi-year guaranteed annuity, and you can do that. Or you can also offer something that gives the client a little more potential to get a higher return than just a fixed rate. Okay. So the power accumulator, it's a downside protection, so you're guaranteed to not lose money due to the market declines, and your money gets invested in the different ETFs, exchange traded funds. And when you go down here, let me go to the current rates. So look at the one that says current rates because this is the average interest rate that they have shown over the last 20 years. At this point, if you take a look at this, in a period of time, the money that the client put in is about 100,000. It's the same, and at the age of 55. And first year, they even showed that the market didn't return anything. It returned zero. So then this is when the clients who want a multi-guarantee annuity can say, oh, Sean, like that's not good. I didn't get anything in return. I'd rather get 4.8. That's true. You could do that. And so if that's the client's risk tolerance, that's great for them. But at the same time, When the market does better, then you're going to get higher returns, which makes up for those years that have no return. So after the 5 years, so let me just do a comparison real quick so you can kind of see. And let me see the other one that we are doing. Where's the other one? Yeah, let me see if it was downloaded here. Illustrations. Yeah, let me take a look at this here again. Yeah. So I wanted to do just a side by side comparison so you can see it. All right, let me just zoom in a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we'll move this over to this side like this. Then I'm gonna have, I think it was this one here. No, this is not it. This is this one. This one. Okay. So if you take a look at it kind of side by side, I know it's not exact, but let me just try to line it up a little bit here. Yeah, there you go. This is pretty similar. Okay. So if you take a look at the fifth year, after the fifth year, so 6 year, after 5 year has been completed, 6 year, there's about $129,894. Here, after the 5 years, there's about $181,000. So that's a difference of how much? Almost 50 plus $1,000 in difference. In terms of retirement, that could be an additional $400 a month in income for the rest of their life. And let's take a look at this. Let's just say they waited a little longer. 10-year mark, there was $144,000. So let's look at it after the 10 years. After the 10 years, 11th year, there's 148,000. And here there's about 230,000. So that's a difference of how much? Almost like 80,000 or so. So if the client wants this, we'll give to the client what they want, but also you can educate the client and say, hey, this is something that still you don't lose any money, but historically this has performed this way, and most likely it's going to have a better return overall in the next 5 to 10 years. And you can at least let the client know, all right? And that way, client can also, and this is another thing, after 59 and a half, client can take out a 10% without any penalty. And that's another feature that client can exercise while the client keeps the majority of the money in there and let it still compound. So that's another benefit to this. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is, let me go to here. And if they really think, oh, I still want some guaranteed rates option, then in the FNG Power Accumulator 7, there is a no charge fixed rate index option 3.75. So client can still mix in some fixed rate of 3.75 guaranteed in the index. So maybe they want to put 25% of the index in there or 50% of the allocation, or they want to put 100%. They can, if the let's just say they think that market is not going to do well, then they can switch to 100% into the fixed rate if they wanted to. So they just have more flexibility and without really losing the ability to really take advantage of the market when it does well. Okay. So sometimes the market do 15, 20% in a year, whereas the MYGA has a locked in rate of 4.8 in this particular Guarantee 5 index, Guarantee Platinum 5 annuity. All right. Any questions? No? Yeah, so it's just a really useful tool. And illustration software is pretty easy. Depending on what the client's looking for, these are available. If you are not yet an SME and you don't know much about annuity, talk to your agency owner, and there should be an SME in your base shop. Okay, so talk to your agency owner. Agency owner might be the SME. There might be an SME on the team, and they will help you to write these up. And through the F5 reset, if you just refer this to the SME, then they'll actually do all the work and get the application approved for you, and you still get 40% of the deal. Okay. So that's a great way for you to not having to learn. And annuity can take a while for you to learn. There's training courses that you can do on the hq.quility.com under LMS. But at the same time, that takes time. And then also, they want you to go to the Advanced Market Bootcamp, which is available only like twice a year or so, and you have to go to that for you to be certified to become an SME and things like that. So it is quite a lot of things that you have to get done before you can write it up. So that is a great way for you to still get a client, give them the product that they want, but without having to learn everything and become a master at it first. Okay. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna wrap up the training pretty early today. And yeah, I'll get this posted on YouTube sometime today once this gets downloaded. All right. Have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later.